Alright, now we're doing 7Q strong number, special number series number 2. This is by Mr. Zizo Scream, and 92% of the people like it. Pardon me. The definition of strong number is a number that the sum of the factorial of its digits is equal to the number itself. For example, 145 is strong because 1 factorial plus 4 factorial plus 5 factorial equals 1 plus 24 plus 120, which equals 145. Give it a number, find if it is strong or not, and return either strong or not strong. The notes, the number pass is always positive. We're going to return the result as a string, all right? Oh, there's more. Oh, these are just examples. All right, cool. So first up, we're going to start by, we need to know a little bit about nested functions, all right? So we're going to go down here on the functions page, and we're going to read a sentence. We may nest a function within, two sentences. We may nest a function within another function. The nested or inner function is private to its containing or outer function. So that's it. We can nest a function in a function because we're going to need to make a function to do these factorials, all right? So let's get rid of this real quick. We don't need it right now. What we're going to need to do is do a factorial function. So we're going to say function, and then we're going to say factorial, and then we're going to push in right into that, all right? So then we're going to, say if n equals 0, we're going to say return 1. And I'll show you why we're doing this in just a second at the end. Pardon me. And we're going to do an else if here. And when I say the end, I mean the end of this factorial function. Else if n is not equal to 1, we're going to say return in times, and now we're going to use recursion, all right? And if you don't know what recursion is the act of calling a function, recursion is the act of a function calling itself to solve problems that contain smaller subproblems, okay? And I'll show you what we're going to use it for. So basically we're going to call factorial on itself, but we're going to say factorial in minus 1. Pardon me again. I'm going to say, we're going to say factorial in minus 1 so that it goes from, let's say it's, what am I saying? Let's say like it's 4. Let's say we're doing the factorial of 4. It'll say 4 times 4 times 4, and then minus 1 after that, and then it's going to say 3 times 4 times 4, 4 times 3, 4 times 2, 4 times 1, all right? It's just going to keep going down like that. Hopefully that makes sense to you. All right, so after that, if that's not the case, like, let's say it gets down to 1. Let's say this is 4, and then it goes 4 times 4, 4 times 3, 4 times 2, 4 times 1. It's going to come back down to 0, and once it gets to 0, we're going to return 1 so that it's just 4 times 1 again, you know, and then it's going to return that. No big deal. And so at the end of the thing, we're going to say else return 1. And that's just in case the number's 1 to begin with, like this 145, all right? Because clearly 1 times 1 is 1. Now that factorial stuff is taken care of, we're going to start with the guts of the thing. So first things first, let's declare some variables. Let's say let string equal string constructor in. We don't know what the string constructor is. It's just used to create a new string object out of whatever, okay? And here's the syntax. We just put string and then in there thing, all right? So there it is. We're going to make in into a string, all right? So now we can do something else with it. And we're also going to have the initial value in result, and that's going to equal 0. That way we can push all these things we're adding together into this, and it'll either equal this or not in the case of 145. All right. So now we're going to do a for loop. No, we're not. Yeah, we are. We're going to do a for loop, and we're going to say for, and then we're going to do let index, let index equal 0, and then while index is less than string.length, we're going to say, you guessed it, index, that's not how you spell it, index plus plus, all right? Just iterating through, because now that it's a string, we can go, here's the 1, next up it's the 4, next up it's the 5, all right? So now we got that. So let's say, when we got that, pardon me, when we're doing this for loop, we're going to say result plus equals, and then we're going to bring this factorial down into it. We're going to say factorial number, so we're going to use the number constructor. Where's that? Which turns something back into a number. It turns a string into a number. So number, you put the value here. And if it's not a number, like if it's just a word, it won't turn it into a number. Okay? So basically, now that it's a string, it's turning it into a number, back into a number. And what we are turning into a number is string at index. So it'll turn like the 1 back into a number, run the factorial on it, turn the 4 into a number, run the factorial on it, and then do the result, and then add it to the result, and then do the 5, do the factorial on it, and then throw it into the result. All right? Now we got that for loop. So now we're going to do the end of this. We're going to say if it's strong or not. So if the result, let's go here first. If the result equals in, okay, we're going to do the thing that says strong right here. We're going to take this, all right, and we're going to say return strong. And if not, we're going to return not strong. All right, let's take this over here, throw it right in here, test it out. All right, awesome. 6 milliseconds. Let's see what the big time score is. All right, let's go all the way down. Come on now. 13 milliseconds. Let's see if we can beat it with the one-liner. Let me take care of this. We don't need any of this here. Let's say const. Let's turn this into an equal sign. Take care of these parentheses, get them out of here. And then put an equal sign and then make it into an arrow. Say get out of here, you. Pardon me. So for the one-liner, we're going to be using reduce twice, all right? And we'll get to all that. We'll get to all that in just a little bit. But first, let's start. First thing we need to do is turn this number into a string. And then we need to make that string into an array. And there's a nice little trick we can do. And if you do this, and you use this spread syntax, which allows an iterable such as an array expression or string, which is what we're going to do, to be expanded in places where 0 or more arguments or elements are expected, or an object expression. We don't need to know about an object expression. So what we're going to do is say ... and we're going to say, what are we going to say here? We're going to say string. We're going to do the string constructor again on in. And let's just test it out just so you can see what it does. So as you can see here, it's basically like doing the string in and then dot split by the spaces in between the characters. But we don't need to do that. We can just do this. All right? So we're going to do that. And then after that, we're going to use reduce, dot reduce. Whoops. And if you don't know what reduce is, Reduce is the method that executes a user-supplied reducer callback function on each element of the array in order, passing in the return value from the calculation on the preceding element. The final result of running the reducer across all elements of the array is a single value. The first time that the callback is run, there is no return value of the previous calculation. If we supply an initial value, which we will on both of the reducers we're using this one, it may be used in its place. Otherwise, the array element starts at index 0, and that's used as the initial value. All right, and then the iteration starts from the next element 1 instead of 0. And the easiest to understand case for reduce is to return the sum, and that's what we're going to be doing, returning the sum right there. With a little twist, I'll show you. So over here, let's start off. Oops, let me show you. And here's the syntaxes we're going to use. On this first one, we're going to use the previous value, current value syntax, and we're going to drop the initial value in there after a comma. And then on the next one, on the second one, we're going to use the previous value, current value, and the current index with an initial value. All right, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So let's knock this out. We're going to say prev for the previous, cur for the current, and for this one, we're going to say previous, and now we're going to do another little thing with spread syntax, except for we need to create an array this time out of these things. Like we're going to have to create an array 0 to 4, like 1, 2, 3, 4, and another one 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just so we can do that. Hopefully you understand what I'm talking about. Hopefully that makes sense to you. Anyway, so what we're going to use here to make an array, we're going to use the array constructor, which basically you just put array in front of something, and it's going to be, you're going to put the array length in the parentheses. I mean, you can put the elements in there yourself. We don't need to bother with that. We're just going to put the array length in there. And believe it or not, the array length is going to be, we'll show you. I'll show you. So right here, we're going to say array. Pardon me again. And for the array length, we're going to say number. We're going to do the number constructor. And we're going to say current. So we're going to turn this, whatever the string of this is, back into a number, just like we did earlier. So now we've got that going on. And for this, now we're going to say dot reduce on this array right here. We're going to say dot reduce again, and like I said, we're going to do the previous value, current value index on this one. So right here, we're going to say prev2, so previous 2. Since if we use prev again, it'll mess everything up. And then we're going to have a blank because we don't even need the current value on the second one. And then we're going to say index, all right? This is getting a little tight. Let's bring it down a little bit. Let's go like this. And let's go like this. All right. I guess that looks good. All right, so we've got that. And now let's throw the little arrow in there. So we're going to say, oh, I'm glad I remembered. Remember those initial values? The initial value down here for this reduce, it's going to be this 0 right here. And we're going to have the initial value on this one because we can't be multiplying anything by 0 for the initial value on the second reduce, because that will just mess everything up. We need to multiply it by 1, okay? Hopefully that makes sense. If you look at it, it will make perfect sense to you. All right, so here we go. Now for the second reduce, we're going to say previous 2, prev2 times, and then we're going to say plus plus index. All right. So basically, it's going to be like, let's say it's the 4. Let's say it's the 5 again this time. Let's say it already went through 4 and it's now on 5. So it's going to be prev2, so 5 times, and index plus index. So instead of starting on index 0, it's going to say plus index 0, so it's going to be index 1. Hopefully that makes sense to you. So it's going to be this times 1, and then it's just going to keep going up until it gets to prev, until it gets to the prev, which in this case will be 5. Okay, and then it's going to go. Okay, so let's say it's the 1, and then it's going to do the 4, and then it's going to do the 5, and hopefully that makes sense to you. Let's just test it out just to see if it even works right now. No, it doesn't. And it's prev 2. Oh yeah, don't forget this thing. Do not forget this thing. All right. Let's test it out, see how it's going. All right, awesome. So now look, it got the 145, it got all the numbers that it's looking for. So now we're really on the right track. Now we just got to do a ternary operation to say strong or not strong. All right. So let me pull up the ternary. All right. And the ternary operator is the only JavaScript operator that takes 3 operands: a condition followed by a question mark, then an expression to execute if the condition is truthy, followed by a colon, and finally the expression to execute if the condition is falsy. Okay, so basically it's just a if-else statement, but in a one-liner mode. So what we're going to do here is we're going to say equals equals, basically, because right now it's 145. Or 1 or 2 or whatever. All right, so equals equals, and if it equals in, okay, if this equals in, we're going to say strong. Right, like this. We're going to take this again. We're going to drop it right in here, and if not, we're going to say not strong. Now I don't remember what the. Well, we'll get to that in a second. Let's test it out. Looks good. Attempt it. All right. Now the last one I think was 13. I hope it is. 13. It's a tie. Well, whatever. If it's a tie, we're going to leave it in this one-liner. So I'm just going to bring this stuff back. All right. Make it real long and hard to read. And how about we do one of these? We'll just do one of these right here. Nope, that looks stupid. All right, we're gonna make it long and hard to read. All right, and attempt it. Looks good. Submit it. My solutions, just me, best practice in my opinion, and we'll see you next time. Very like it, and we'll see you next time.